Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Caitlin and I work for King County Wastewater. Today we're going to continue on in our second lesson to learn more about how we clean wastewater. In today's lesson, we're going to be doing a water experiment. So we're going to be using some materials and thinking like engineers and scientists and trying to clean up dirty water just like we do every single day at the King County wastewater treatment plants. Last time you learned from my coworker Susan. You guys learned about the water cycle, how humans are a part of the water cycle, how we borrow water every day to flush toilets, wash dishes, shower, and that we add a lot of stuff to that water. We add a lot of stuff really quickly that makes it really dirty. And now it is full of those 4 categories of stuff. Anyone remember what those 4 categories of stuff are?
Trash.
Meaning all the things that people put down drains and put down toilets that they're not really supposed to. Flushable wipes, tissues, paper towels, all that kind of stuff. Also, let's see, what are the other 3 categories?
Chemicals.
Very good. So all the stuff that we use every day in our bodies that make us feel good, look good, smell good, maybe like toothpaste and mouthwash, and all the things that we use to clean our houses and clean our dishes, like dish soap and cleaning products like that. Nice job. 2 more categories. We're gonna do the next one. Is the organics category. Nice job. Remember, that's all of like the poop and the food that goes down the toilet every day, or the little bits of food that goes down the garbage disposal. And last but not least, we have the bacteria. So that's all of the teeny tiny microscopic stuff found in the water that we have to get out. So remember, all of those things, trash, organics, bacteria, and chemicals, are in our water and are traveling away from our houses to the wastewater treatment plant. And today, we are gonna be trying to solve the problem of dirty water. Our problem statement for the day is, if wastewater goes uncleaned, it is a health issue for plants, animals, and people. So we are gonna think like scientists and engineers and try to clean up that water. Okay, friends, I keep using that word, engineers. Can someone tell me what the word engineer means? Very good, friends. So you were thinking about someone who solves problems, builds things, makes things. You are on the right path. Engineers use science and experimentation to design solutions to problems, okay? So that's gonna be us today. We have a problem of too much dirty water, wastewater full of organics, bacteria, trash, and chemicals, and we need to get it clean before we can put it back into the water cycle. So I need your help to clean it up. Scientists and engineers, when they approach a problem, they have a specific way of thinking, and that is called the engineering design process, okay? So see how this process has different circles with different colors and arrows, right? This is a way to help us think about how we think and plan a solution to a problem. So in the yellow, see here, we are defining the problem. Our problem is that we have too much dirty water and we need to clean it up. The second is we need to plan for a solution. Third, in purple, make a model, test the model, and then reflect and redesign. Right? So see how the reflect and redesign connects back to the beginning? That's because when scientists and engineers are trying to solve a problem, it's unlikely that the first time that they make a plan that they're gonna get it right. And so it's really important that we test something, try it, reflect on how it went. Did it go well? Did it not go as planned? Could we do better? All right, so that's gonna be a really important part of our lesson today. I also wanted to point out to you that In the purple circle it's here, it says make a model. Does anyone know what the definition of the word model means in the context of science? Think about that for a second. If you were thinking about a model being something that's smaller than the real thing or a version of the real thing, then you are correct. A model is basically a smaller version of the real thing, right? So I think we're ready to get started. At the beginning of the lesson, you saw a list of the materials that we need for today's lesson on the screen. So we're gonna pull those things out now. What you're gonna need in front of you to participate and follow along are 3 different sized bowls or Tupperware. So you need medium to large size bowls, right? So I have 1, 2, 2, and 3. So I have 3 different size bowls, but medium to large is important. The next thing that you're gonna need is a water, some sort of water container for this lesson. You're also going to need either soap of some kind or mouthwash, whichever one you have. You are also going to need coffee or a little bit of flour or soil. All right. You are also going to need a paper towel and a little bit of salt. All right. You are also going to need another paper towel or a coffee filter. You're gonna need a strainer or colander, something where you can maybe filter or like catch pasta in, like catch the pasta in and get the water out. A sponge of some kind, a fork, a spoon, and I think that's it. So make sure you have all of those things laid out in front of you before we get started. All right, everyone, let's get started and make our experiment water. So let's first grab 2 of our largest bowls or Tupperwares, and we're gonna make some dirty water together, right? So the first ingredient in making wastewater is water. So you're gonna take a big jug of water or a pitcher of water, and you're gonna pour water to fill up about 1/4 of the 2 different bowls you have in front of you. So not halfway, just a little bit under halfway, okay? Under halfway. All right. Nice. That looks really good. Okay, so everyone pause for a second, and I want you to look at your water. Remember how it looks. This is our goal today. Our goal is to get our water as clean as possible at the end of our experiment. So we're gonna try to get it back to how it looks here. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 4 different things to both of our waters that represent the 4 different categories found in wastewater. So let's first take our paper towels. We're gonna take our paper towel and rip it in half. This paper towel is going to represent all the trash found in wastewater. So just like you learned in the first lesson, toilet paper is the only paper product that should be being flushed. So this paper towel is trash. So take half of your paper towel and rip it into tiny pieces and put it into your water. So we got half my paper towel in here and the other half of my ripped paper towel in my other bowl. All right, so here we go. We got the trash in the water. Not looking too gross yet, but don't worry, we'll get there. The next category that we're gonna add is organics, okay? So I asked you to bring coffee, a tea bag, soil, or flour. Any one of those things can represent the organics today, like the poop and the food. So I have coffee with me here. So I'm gonna take my coffee. And if you have something different than me, that's okay. I just want you to remember that a little bit goes a long way when we're making fake wastewater. So if you have coffee, flour, or soil, you only need about 1/2 of a spoonful. So I'm putting 1/2 of my spoonful in one bowl and 1/2 of my spoonful in another, and mix that up. Even use that spoon to mix it up. You can start to see the water starting to look pretty gross already. All right, nice. So we have our organics and trash in both of our water bowls. Next, we're going to add chemicals, okay? So I asked you to bring a little bit of soap. It could be hand soap or liquid dish soap like I have here, or you could have brought mouthwash. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my dish soap. Again, if you have soap, a little goes a long way. So just add a teeny bit, a little drip there and a little drip there. Nice. Oh, I can smell that soap, can you? If you added mouthwash, you can just add like a half of a capful, right? So you can unscrew the lid, pour about half of a capful and pour a half of a capful in each of your experiment water. All right, there you go. All right, so we have organics, trash, and chemicals in both of our bowls. What is the last category we need to add? The bacteria, the teeny tiny microscopic things that we can't see that are in the water. So we're gonna take a little bit of salt, table salt works, or cooking salt, and we're just gonna sprinkle that in, all right? I pick salt to represent the bacteria because once the salt gets stirred into the water, can you see it? What happens to the salt? Very good, it dissolves in the water, and so you can't see it unless you had a microscope where you could like really get in there and look at the water droplets. Okay, awesome. Great job, friends. We have our 2 bowls of experimental water. This water and this water is a model of what real wastewater looks like, and it's gonna be probably just as challenging for us to try to clean it up today as it is for the engineers and scientists at the wastewater treatment plant. So we're gonna work with only 1 bowl of water at a time. So let's take our other bowl of water and let's just set it aside. We'll come back to it in a little bit. Okay, so we have just 1 of our bowls of experiment water. We'll put that right here. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the planning process. So we need to plan a solution to get this water as clean as possible using the resources or the tools we have access to. So we asked you to bring some filter building supplies.
That was a sponge, a fork, a spoon, paper towel, a filter or a strainer, and more bowls, okay?
So we need to take a second and plan what order or how we're gonna use these things to get all of this stuff out of the water. So I want you to take a second, looking at your materials, maybe start to organize them in a certain way. Maybe you wanna start thinking about how this paper towel might help you, or what order could you do things in, okay? So this is a really important part. Scientists and engineers don't just go out there and start trying things without thinking about a plan. So take a second and make your plan. All right, do you have a plan? I have a plan, I'm ready. Now, keep in mind that we are working right now with water, maybe near computers, maybe near a TV, so it's really important that we're really careful and we don't spill, right? So there's your reminder. Next, we need to make sure that we are aware of our time. We are only gonna have 2 minutes to clean this water together. I just poured my water from my first bowl into another bowl through my strainer. It didn't go so well, so I'm gonna keep going. I have 30 more seconds to finish. I'm gonna use my strainer again. I'm gonna pour my water through, but this time I have a sponge on top. We'll see how that goes.
Well, look at my sponge like growing as I pour the water on it. Okay.
Interesting. All right. All right, friends. Your time is up. How did you do? How does your water look? I want you to hold it up and show me. This is what my water looks like. It is kind of, you know, stained, this coffee color from the coffee grounds, and there's tons of coffee in my water still, like coffee grounds. I can also see soap bubbles on the surface of my water. What does yours look like? Are you happy with how your water turned out? Or how you used your tools in what order? I know that I'm not. I think that I could have done a better job. One thing that I noticed that when I poured my water out of my first bowl, I used my fork to kind of like hold the paper towels back, and they like stayed at the bottom of my first bowl when I poured it through my filter here. And when I poured the water again a second time into the next bowl, some of the coffee grounds kind of like stayed at the bottom of the second bowl. So I feel like, I don't know about you, but I think that the trash, the paper towel was super easy for me to remove. I was really struggling to get the organics, meaning the coffee grounds, out of my water here. So I think I need to do this again. Oftentimes in science, we do something once and it doesn't go the way we expected, and we learn a lot from it, right? I learned a lot that I need to do a better job of filtering the coffee grounds out. The strainer that I have here, the holes aren't small enough to catch the coffee. So maybe next time I might use my coffee filter or the paper towel inside my filter to try to catch those things, right? I can do the same thing that I did again with the fork to get the paper towels out of the water, but I think I can do better. So take a second. What did you learn from your experiment? How are you going to redesign? We're gonna set aside this dirty water. So I'm gonna take this bowl that I have of the first water that I cleaned. I'm gonna set it aside, okay? I'm gonna take out now the bowl of my second batch of dirty water, all right? And I am going to kind of discard or maybe like rinse off my sponge to make sure that my tools aren't super dirty. So if you need to go to a sink and maybe rinse off your sponge or rinse off your strainer or your colander, please do that now, and then we'll come back, reset, and go again and try to do better. Okay, I'm back. I cleaned up my materials. I kind of rinsed my dirty bowls out so that we can go ahead and do a redesign, all right? So if you haven't already, make sure you know your plan, okay? I'm gonna try really hard this time to make sure that I pour my water extra slow, as I can maybe try to get more of the pieces of coffee out of the water this time. I'm also going to be really vigilant about how I use my materials. So we have 2 minutes again on the clock. Let's get started and we'll share out and see what happens at the end. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so this time I'm gonna take my strainer. I'm gonna be more intentional. I'm gonna take my paper towel and I'm gonna lay it inside my filter or my colander. Then I'm gonna put the sponge on top, and then I'm also going to use my fork again and kind of hold the big chunks of paper towels back. So here we go, let's see how it goes. So I'm trying to be really slow and intentional and pour the water through my sponge and through the paper towel. This is looking way better than last time. Wow.
Okay, so same thing again. I made sure my paper towels stayed in my original bowl. I poured the water through my sponge and through my paper towel and through the colander. Wow, look at how much better that water looks already. Okay, I'm gonna set my filtration layers inside my old dirty bowl. Okay, so looking at my water, I feel much better. There is no trash in there, no paper towel. There's barely any coffee grounds, so no organics left. I think what I'm gonna do now is I do see some very small bubbles on the top of my water. So I'm gonna really carefully with my spoon try to scoop those bubbles out. Do you have bubbles in your water? Where do you think those bubbles are coming from? Very good. Those bubbles are probably from the soap, right? Those chemicals that we added. All right, wow. You have a couple more minutes to finish working if you need to, but I feel really satisfied with your water. So take a couple more seconds and finish your redesign. Nice job, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause. Nice job. How did you do? Will you hold up your redesign, the second round of cleaning your water? This is how mine looks. Wow. Now take a second and compare it to your first experiment. How do those compare, right? Like how much cleaner did you get the water? I did way better the second time. Do you guys see the difference? Look at all the chunks floating around in the water, all those coffee grounds the first time, and look how few chunks there are the second time. Also, do you see that layer of bubbles in mine? I don't really have that layer of bubbles when I did it a second time. What do you notice about your water, the first versus the second round? Did you do better? Did you do worse? Sometimes that happens. Don't be ashamed. It happens to everyone. I can't tell you how many times I've done this and the second round actually got worse for me, so don't feel bad. Now, I want us to focus on what categories were the easiest for us to remove and the hardest. We already talked about how the trash, like the paper towel, was really simple to keep and to get out of the water. But what else was easy? I think that once I got my filter figured out, like the layering of my filter, I was able to get most of the coffee grounds or the organics. Maybe for you, that was the soil or the flour. Yeah, that seemed pretty simple once I figured out how to do it. Now, if you smell your water, doesn't matter if it's the first round or the second round, smell your water. What do you smell? I smell two things. I smell dish soap and I smell mouthwash. Those two things I added to represent chemicals. So I think that there is still chemicals left in my water. Did you know that chemicals are the hardest thing for us to remove from the water, even at the real wastewater treatment plant? They are super difficult. We use so many different kinds of chemicals in our lives every day, and it prevents us from getting the water totally clean at the wastewater treatment plant. We can get most of them out, but not every single one. So something to think about, all right? Last but not least, those bacteria. Did we get the bacteria out of the water? How do we know? Do you know? I can't be certain because once I stirred the salt into the water, the crystals dissolved, and I don't think any of the tools that I had or that you had would be able to get them all out. So I think there might still be bacteria in here. Man, I don't know about you, but this experiment was way harder than I was expecting. I thought that I would have been able to get this water a lot cleaner than I did. I know that you might be as disappointed as I am. However, I wanted us to do this experiment together so that we could learn to think like scientists and engineers and to realize how hard it is to clean dirty water, right? It is not an easy task, and it's super important that we do it. if wastewater goes unclean, it can be a health hazard for plants, animals, and people, right? If water that wasn't totally clean and that looked like this went back out into the Puget Sound or in a close local body of water, it could make plants, animal, and people really sick. That's the last thing that we want, okay? I want you, again, to just give yourselves a round of applause. Great job, friends. Do you guys want to see what real wastewater looks like at the beginning of the process and at the very end? I have a sample here of what real wastewater looks like. That's what it looks like. What do you think? Are you surprised? This is what all the dissolved organics, chemicals, bacteria, and poop looks like when it's in the water. After it goes through the treatment plant, it looks like this. Look how much better it looks when it leaves the treatment plant. Wow. So clean. So clean. It almost looks like drinking water. Incredible. Is this water drinking water when it leaves the treatment plant? Where does this water go again? Can you remind me? Very good. If you said this goes back to the Puget Sound or back to the closest body of water, you are correct. This water is not going back to people's homes for drinking. This water is going back into the water cycle and into the Puget Sound. All right, great job, engineers. Next time you see me, you will be walking around a real wastewater treatment plant with me and learning how we get those 4 categories out of the water: trash, bacteria, organics, and chemicals. You will notice in that video that some of the things that we used to clean our water today will be similar to what you see at the real treatment plant. You will definitely see filters that get out big chunks of things. You will definitely see gravity helping us clean the water. You'll definitely see scrapers or things like scraping things off the top of the water like we did with our bubbles, right? So there will be a lot of really cool machinery and technology and engineering to see there.